Another gun formation that's exclusive to the Buffalo Bills playbook is called a gun trips open. Now, this particular formation winds up having 4 receivers. There's a 3-by-1 set. You got 3 receivers lined up on the left, and you got 1 receiver lined up on the right, and you got the halfback offset of the quarterback to the right side. So let's go ahead and take a look at it on the field and look at some different types of motion that you can do with it. And for those who ran like the shotgun trips tight end, this is kind of similar. There was a formation in the Steelers playbook in 08. I cannot remember the actual name of it, but I think it was like called gun trips or something like that. And this is pretty similar to that because you got the 3 receivers lined up here on the left, as I mentioned, and you got the outside receiver lined up on the right to the outside. If it was a bunch tied in, or excuse me, the gun trips tied in, the tight end would line up next to the right tackle. So that's kind of a little bit of a difference as far as the formation goes. What you can do here, one of the motions you can do here is go ahead and motion the halfback over to the left, and you kind of get a shotgun trio look, sort of, where this guy now lines up to this side over here. It's kind of like the shotgun trio. Obviously, there's no tight end in this formation, but it's from last year, if you remember the Falcons playbook, one of the more popular formations. Now, another thing you can do is you can take control of the outside receiver, which is the flanker, and you can motion him to the inside and kind of get a tight look. So you still got a 3-by-1 set, but he's just tighter lined up inside. So especially something like maybe against man coverage, you can do some stuff like maybe an out route. For instance, let me show you something else. This is zone I'm showing right now. You notice how that cornerback was lined up to the outside? Let's go and do this. If you were to go ahead and reset this and play man coverage, watch how that cornerback now lines up to the inside. He'll line up, come inside with me. You can see right there, and you can tell that's man coverage just by what he just did there. So that's something you could do if you're trying to look at this as far as going ahead and showing the man or zone coverage. One last thing I want to point out here is basically any receiver over here, if you were to motion them over to the right, more or less they're going to line up in the slot. So you want to more or less get in a gun spread formation. You got 2-by-2 now. So just keep that in mind as you're running these particular formation. Again, this is the Bills. This is out of the Bills playbook. The name of the formation is called gun trips open. And it's a 1-by-3 formation, if you want to call it, however you want to call it. Normally, when I go 3-by-1 or 1-by-3, 1 would be, obviously the receiver. The way I try to do this is throughout the video playbook. 1, I start off the very first number. So if I say 2-by-2, the 2 would be here, and another 2 would be here. If I say 1-by-3, then the receiver should be here. We 1, and you have 3 over here. If I said 3-by-1, you would have 3 receivers lined up over here, and 1 receiver lined up over here. So try to keep that in mind. For the most part, if I mess up throughout the defense or throughout the from the gun video playbook, that's just my mistake. But normally that's what I try to do when I say 3-by-1 or 1-by-3. So I'm looking at it from the first number being on the right side, or excuse me, the first number that I'm mentioning to you is going to be on the left side, and the second number that I mentioned would be on the right side. So if I say 1-by-3, the 1 would be on the left, the 3 would be on the right. If I said 2-by-2, the first number again would be on the left, the second number would be on the right. If I said 3-by-1, the 3 would be on the left, and the right would be, the 1 would be on the right side. Just keep that in mind as you're watching these video breakdowns.